All right, welcome everyone to the monthly Copywriting Clinic. We'll do a little introduction. So the Copywriting Clinic, is an opportunity to come and get feedback on the copywriting projects that you're working on. We tend to sprinkle lessons throughout. It's really a super casual meetup, and we have a good time. Basic rules of engagement: be excellent to each other. That's really all there is to it. Be excellent to each other. So as we're, offering feedback to people, of course, be respectful. I know now, this is the first clinic since the new season 8 has started. So we've got a lot of new faces, and I'd want to give a caveat that, we have not reached the week on copywriting yet in autonomy. So some things might be a little bit over your head. We'll do our best to answer questions, but I want to encourage you to be patient and understand that there is lots of lectures and introductions of copywriting that are coming in autonomy. So you guys all here are kind of like jumping ahead a little bit, which is not a bad thing. You're taking initiative, participating in extracurriculars, awesome stuff. I know some of you already have even like copywriting projects that you're working on. Great. I just want to make sure that there's an understanding that haven't even gotten that far in autonomy quite yet. So you guys are ahead of the game. So what we're going to do first is I want to kind of get a temperature check of the room and find out a couple of things. What I'm curious about, who in here has zero knowledge of what copywriting is? Great. So essentially, in a nutshell, we'll just give a really brief introduction before we kind of get going so that, you're not feeling completely lost as we're going through this stuff. So, copywriting, as opposed to, so we're talking about copywriting, the writing of copy. So we're not talking about copyright like R-I-G-H-T, we're talking about W-R-I-T-E. So when you're on the internet, out in the world, anytime you see verbiage and text that's on websites, advertisements, emails, blogs, the list kind of goes on. All of this stuff is considered copy in the marketing world. So we're talking about how we can write effective messages, effective copy that's going to speak to the target audience of whatever it is, you're writing for. So there's lots of steps to this. There's research, doing audience research and finding out, who your target market is and what motivations and challenges that they're working through so that you can speak to that in your marketing. You can find out what kind of language that they use, what kind of words that they use, how they speak, so that you can speak back to them in their own language. Then there's all sorts of things to copywriting, from like planning and writing and editing and optimizing. So lots of things to it. We're going to kind of take it back down here. I'm not going to go super far into the weeds. But those of you that are super new to copywriting, as we go through this clinic, maybe there'll be some times where you feel a little bit lost. Don't hesitate to ask questions. If there's questions that are coming up that just feel a little bit more advanced to what we're doing here in the moment and talking about, maybe we'll kind of put it on the shelf, move on. But all questions are welcome. You guys are welcome to participate when we're giving feedback to somebody. One thing I would encourage, so I encourage everyone to be able to come off mic, offer suggestions, offer tips that are coming to you. We all have our own intuition, and it's good to speak up on these things. But also taking into account that a lot of us in here are very new to copywriting. So the feedback we want to sometimes take with a grain of salt. Not sure where I'm going with this thought. It's kind of a half-formed thought. So I think I'll stop talking there for a minute. Agnieszka, do you have any supportive?
I know where you're going with that thought. It's because sometimes in other copywriting clinics, there were people who have given advice with a very forceful kind of attitude that was not necessarily the best advice. So take it with a grain of salt that some of the participants may have strong opinions, may not be experienced. Double check with us if this is really a good path or if they're taking you down a garden path somewhere where you don't want to go.
Thank you. You're also encouraged to utilize the Zoom chat. Sometimes, when we get into like a little brainstorming mode where we're looking at a project and then people are coming up with copy ideas, for a lot of us, it's often easier to type that stuff out in the chat. And then we have this awesome record of copy ideas. So sometimes, if you got something that's like, you're essentially in the copywriting hot seat, and people are throwing out ideas, we can have this nice written record of copy ideas that then you can take with you after the clinic. So with that all in mind, before I take a temperature check, any immediate burning questions? Sweet. Okay, who has something that they'd like us to look at today? I just kind of want to get a gauge and we can get an agenda going.
How to make Zoom not say your name, but have an image. You have to turn, just an image. You have to go into your profile and change your profile photo. That was a question. And by the way, I just want to recap to you guys. Do share your opinion. Your opinion is valid, and it's your own opinion is super good to have an opinion and share it. But if we're like, yeah, no, that's not really the way, and here is why, then you're going to learn from what your opinion, right? Like, don't be shy because she said that some dude once did something funny. Don't be shy to share your opinion. A lot of the time, the opinion of the listeners is actually super, super on point.
Yes. Thank you. All right, yes, Stephanie, you messaged me. I know you've got something for us to look at today. That was going to be a quiz. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, I have a type form quiz that I think is too long and might need some finessing.
Okay. Who else? Oh, thank you for offering that feedback in the chat. Who else has something for our agenda today?
I thought I was gonna.
You go first, Dan.
Go ahead, Dan.
No, sorry, Cody. I thought I was gonna have something, but the group that I was helping out notified me a few days ago that they kind of disbanding. So I wouldn't say the work I did was all for nothing, but yeah. So there's no point at looking at it. So go for it, Cody.
Yep, and I have the email that I mentioned. Got the rough draft of that typed up.
Great. And this is proposing your fan fiction book to who?
It's proposing that I start like an interview video with somebody that makes videos for Wings of Fire.
Oh.
You know, with the end goal being of becoming a more permanent fixture in doing some video editing work for him. You know, but kind of we'll just see how that goes.
Great. Right. Who else? No?
Hey, I just want to hop in real quick. Hi,
Hey,
everyone.
Jerry.
And I just want to say I'm super glad to hear that, Cody. And same for you, Stephanie.
Thanks, Jerry.
I didn't know we were supposed to bring something in. Is there a way to look at where something turned poorly in something that we wrote as far as texts and communications is concerned?
Say a little bit more.
As in, okay, so you're speaking with someone through text, and then something happened, something you said, something that was poorly interpreted, caused the text to go sour. Would that be an exercise that we could look into, or is it strictly copy, as in I'm trying to sell you something, or look at this product, or look at me? What kind of copy are we?
In a general sense, we would be talking about marketing copy. However, if we have time and there's not like a whole lot of stuff to go through, absolutely, let's look at it. Let's talk about it together. We got a lot of resourceful people here.
I don't have anything today, but
okay.
And also, Stefano does like texts that were educational, right? Like convincing people of a certain idea. So it's really marketing anyway. It's not conversation.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Absolutely. You said not today though, maybe another, like maybe next month.
Yeah, I'm just not ready. So yeah,
Great.
Whatever the next meeting is, I'll find something to be ready. But would that be considered something that I could bring in case I don't find anything that I need copy for?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's and just to speak to everybody too, there's no requirement to bring something. And this is where, oftentimes we'll have just a handful of things to look at, but that's where we're all learning together. So we're all learning from the other people bringing their projects. So yeah, there's no requirement to bring anything to this clinic.
Okay.
I'll just offer something that is an idea if we have time. Is, with all these new features we've got, like sell your or put out your work or put your wins or all that kind of stuff that's going on, and be able to like communicate well or just throw out ideas in front of other people. It might be something to just take a look at the ideas that have been floating out there in the last week or so, like the trending comments.
Oh, like in the forum?
That's just a suggestion. We don't have to go with it. Yeah.
That's an idea. All right. I think we have our agenda. So I'll ask first, so between with Stephanie and Cody, do either of you have like a time limitation right now? Is there something where you feel really strongly about wanting to go right away?
I've got 3 kids here and a dog, and I'm guaranteed they're going to need my attention somewhat soon, but I don't have like a certain time.
Yeah, well, you want to, Cody, are you flexible?
Yeah, I'm flexible. I don't really have a time schedule.
Great. Stephanie, why don't we kick off with you first then, if you're good with that?
Okay. And sorry, with all the kids and animal house over here, that's why I'm not on camera. I'm just like not at all camera ready today. So I will screen share then, I guess.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I gave permission. Yes, you should be able to.
Type form. Okay, so.
And so give us the context of this quiz. So
this quiz is something that Joshua asked me to create because we discovered basically like a social media platform for freedom lovers called Public Square. And he wanted to be able to put up an ad for autonomy in the form of a quiz. And it would serve out at the end of the quiz a lead magnet so that we could bring in clients to Autonomy Unlimited after they finish this quiz, which is gauge the health of your business type of quiz.
Okay,
so,
and you
go ahead.
Really quick, I want to make sure I'm understanding, because you mentioned in there also like an ad for autonomy. So is this trying to promote both autonomy and Autonomy Unlimited?
No, sorry, I meant Autonomy Unlimited.
Okay, great. Just want to make sure I got that right. All right.
I have thoughts and opinions.
Well, and first, let's continue to do the groundwork here. So, especially for the sake of everyone else on the call, like who's like the target market for this quiz?
Well, it would be kind of qualifying. So the goal of it is to qualify clients and attract them. So the target market is any business that's on Public Square, because those are going to be freedom-oriented businesses. Mostly, though, we want the type of business that's going to need Autonomy Unlimited digital marketing and business consulting.
All right, Agnieszka, you got words.
Or like fundraising, right? Because then I get more work. I'm just joking. Okay, so right in my immediate reaction was to take out 2 words, the word any and the word end. Now the word any will have to be replaced with something else, but the word any means any, right? It means any, but not mine. Do you know what I mean?
What was the
It means all, yeah. But you know what? So that was my first idea, but then you said something even better. You said gauge the health of your business. And I was like, wow, that's better.
Okay.
That's better. But wait, because this would be a good subtitle, right? So I would say something like this: gauge the health of your business. And then something about being constantly in flux. And you've taken the first step. And then, like, you know, you've taken the first step and yes, I'm ready, don't really flow together. So we'll have to work that out a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
Here's your first step, take the first step, right? Like you want them to kind of marry, match, whatever.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, we could say something like, your business is constantly in flux, right? You're again. And I don't know, this is not a good way of saying it, but I would say something like, whether you know it or not, your business is constantly in flux, but you may not even be aware of it. But I don't know how to say it elegantly. So I'll just shut up and let the other people thing. Oh, and the second thing I said, take away the end from the beginning, is because end at the beginning is taking up a space of something that can make an impact, but it does not make an impact.
Gotcha.
So in the beginning of a line, you want something, an end will never carry that energy.
Agnieszka, are you saying you should never use and?
You only have so many words to keep an attention of the person in your headline. And the word and is not, does not add. You want to remove any words that do not add, right off the bat. And the word and would go in the first cut in my world.
Okay, so you're not saying in this instance it didn't have any additional impact. You're saying usually and doesn't have any additional impact, so you don't use it.
In a headline.
Yeah.
It might, I mean, depending on the headline, there may be an instance where it's useful.
Okay.
But in the most part, my first sweep will be to remove all the words that are not useful. And my second would be go to the headline analyzer and check it out. I've had a really great results lately by taking something I've written and running it through the tools.
Which which specific tool are you referring to, Agnieszka?
Well, at this point, I'm referring to your favorite headline analyzer. But I've also been using subject analyzers, spam analyzers, you know, expression analyzers, sentence readability analyzers, all these tools that I use for everything that I write for a client these days. Upgrading myself. I'm just gonna grab another coffee. I'll be right back.
Sure.
Thank you, Agnieszka. Love, she always gives the best.
I can still hear everything.
I just love the best. I love the feedback you give. Okay, so
thank you.
We should
thank you, because some people don't.
Got to become anti-fragile to deal with you. All right, so this is what I wanted though. I want as much feedback as I can get because it's really long. Look, 18 questions. Joshua gave me some feedback and said he got kind of pulled away after 11. He was really busy, but you know, a business owner will be, so I need to keep that in mind. So I really like this feedback, but I'm thinking come back to it so that we can get through the rest of it since it is so long.
Sure. And Kayla offered another bit of feedback in the chat also, another suggestion. Regardless of what you're doing, your business is constantly in flux, because someone could think, well, I know what's going on in my business, if they'd be aware of it. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Coming in.
Because they might read this and think, I don't need to take this. I know what's up. I don't have anything to learn. Yeah.
Good suggestions.
Okay. So after they click yes, this is kind of wordy too, but.
Oh, all right. So we got less than 20 questions for you, covering staff, culture, client experience, marketing, and more. And check out the action steps at the end based on your results.
So let's get rid of that and.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like that could even be worded better. Like, my first thought is like, you'll look forward to action steps at the end. Even that can be strengthened. Thing. It's like that, kind of like that, check out the action steps. And in my mind, I hear that as like a passive thing. Like, check it out if you feel like it. But like, no, we've got some, like, you're going to come away with some valuable action steps at the end based on your results. And play around with how you want to word that.
Yeah. Let's see. Maybe take action at the end with some resources, something like that.
Yeah. And like, you'll come away with valuable resources to take your next steps or something.
I like that. It kind of makes me feel at ease, like, yay, I'm going to get some help.
Yeah.
All right, I've got something. So
Yeah.
in less than 20 questions, review, and then like semicolon, your staff, their culture, the client experience, your marketing, and more. How about that?
I don't think a semicolon works right there, but yeah.
Okay.
Just another point, guys. The accountant in me is expecting, when it says in less than 20 questions, I'm expecting to see 19 or 18, not 20, because 20, I don't know if that's gonna, is there 20 questions?
There's 18.
Is there 18? Okay, excellent.
And that
So-
might change, right, Stephanie? Like, you're also thinking about what
Yeah,
you can potentially cut. So that number might change.
Yeah.
It'd be good if you could get it down to like 15. Even that's more manageable than
Or 10.
10's the optimal. Yeah. As long as you're not cutting too much value. And it also depends too on like how easy these questions are for them to answer. Are they mostly like multiple choice and stuff, or do you have like open-ended as well?
There's a couple open-ended, but they're mostly multiple choice. That way, then it's easier to score.
Yeah, and so much easier to like, get the proper results from it too.
Yeah. So maybe we should say in less than 10 minutes.
Well, why don't we come back to this after going through the questions, because that might reframe this a little bit.
Yeah, I agree, Stephanie. I think you should refer to time, because that's important to a business owner.
Right. How do you feel about your company's performance this month?
Oh, and so you got so picture answers. That's fun. I wonder about, I mean, are the photos enough to capture what you're...
Yeah, I'm trying to look for like a preview button, because then we could see what it actually looks like.
Up by the publish button is that little eyeball.
Oh.
And that's the preview. You can change it to be on desktop view.
I have a quick thought about those 3 photos we just saw. The third one needs to be cropped so we can easily see what it is. The first and the second, we can easily determine what it is, but the third one, you have to really look. So either change it to a more clear photo where it's not so much black on black, or crop it severely so you can see it. Also, when cropping these images, it would look better if you were to crop them all to the same shape. So if you had a rectangle for one, have a rectangle for all of them, whatever, like portrait or landscape or whatever. But make it so that they're all the same kind of general shape. They don't actually have to be exact, but just as long as the eye doesn't see, a huge disparity, because that speaks to the unreliability of the source.
Love it.
And Stephanie, have you considered changing the question to a different period rather than just limiting it to a month? Because maybe 1 month isn't indicative of...
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. I haven't made any changes. I've had a lot of thoughts. Thank you for bringing that up. That was another thing, because also some people may be just getting started and a month just doesn't apply. So recent performance, current
Yeah.
performance.
Yeah,
Or
either recent,
quarter.
recent.
Yeah,
Hmm. That's good.
nice. That looks really uncomfortable and hot.
And then also there's that period at the beginning of the sentence. I don't know if that serves any purpose.
Good time.
Mm. Yeah, good pickup.
Okay. I'm gonna play around with editing these photos a little bit more too, but okay, so how far along are you in your company's journey?
Is this necessary to know for the purposes of this quiz?
Probably not.
So that's where, you know, when you were even just saying like, okay, they could be just starting out in their business. So you already, you know, this could cover different stages. So I'm wondering if it's necessary. Let's we should make like a draft list of potential questions to cut. And after we go through them, we can identify what would be the best ones to get rid of.
Okay.
I would
I'll
say
take
that.
note.
Oh,
Go ahead.
thanks.
Okay.
I was just going to say the okay, so is kind of a I don't know, I want to call it lazy, but it's you know, just it's kind of, yeah. So if you just got rid of those and said, how far along are you?
Yeah.
Or something along those lines, I think
More professional sounding.
it will. Yes.
And that's where like it's, you know, and it kind of depends on if you want to have a more conversational tone or a more formal tone.
Yeah, that was something I wanted to ask you guys, because I noticed a lot of type form quizzes are really kind of just like fun and irreverent. And so I want to strike the right balance though.
Yeah, because I mean, quizzes are supposed to be fun. I do think finding a balance is good, because like we want it to be not extra work for a business owner. So, you know, we want there to be kind of an element, the word I was thinking was play, like, you know, a little element of play, while also knowing that we are talking to professionals. So if we can find like a balance in there. So.
Well, would you consider okay, so like the passive versus the kind of direct language? Would that be more passive? Maybe I can.
I think when I think of passive versus active, I think about the verb and subject, not like extra words like okay and so.
Well, because those are things like probably and almost, if I'm not mistaken, correct? I can be wrong too. So. But I do feel like those are, you know, they're just like, if we're going to be the authority, you don't want to be saying almost or probably. You want to be very direct. Is my feeling.
That's my student right there.
And Stephanie, sorry, have you considered maybe changing the first question A to the last one, just so that, you know, serious business people can get to the more likely startup? Yeah, just so it's easier on the eye.
Yeah.
Sure.
I was going to also say, sorry, I'm a bit of a punctuation nerd, and I don't believe that the comma after point is necessary.
Yeah, if it was said which, then it would need a comma before it, but not before that. Thank you.
I would agree on that.
Okay, let's go to the next one.
That's my AP style guide at home. Sorry.
But I think that that sentence also could be simplified and cut out like half the words. I would suggest, Stephanie, you look at it later and cut out 50% of the words of that last sentence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Nice graphic.
How confident are you that your business will get new customers in the next month?
Nice.
Or how likely are
Your
you?
marketing.
What?
Instead of business, your marketing.
That your marketing will get new customers?
Yeah.
And we're talking to business owners, so how confident are you that your business will get new customers?
But we're selling marketing. He is probably right. How confident are you in your marketing? Right?
Okay, if we phrase it like that, sure.
Maybe it could be a question that feeds off of this one. So after they answer this, if they say whatever they say, we could say, you know, I don't know, something about, was it your marketing that brought them in, or I don't know. How confident are you that your marketing is bringing in business?
Yeah, it's bringing in new leads, new customers.
We'll bring in new leads this month. Because what we're selling here is not business, we're selling marketing, right? And so every question has to come with a foregone conclusion of higher autonomy and limited, right? If you're not confident that your marketing will bring you new leads, not bring in new leads, by the way, Stephanie. Do you think, Cara, or do you think in is better?
No, I think that's good. Bring you new leads. Back and forth.
Does this month in the question add any value?
Yeah, I mean, it adds a sense of, it's
urgency.
Like subtle urgency. Exactly.
Okay, I thought it might be more impactful to make it shorter and have it open-ended.
But then, are you confident you're going to get a new lead within a year? You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of becoming wishy-washy. We're selling specifics.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna think that far out.
Well, you just don't know that many people.
Yeah, it's just whatever's relevant to them, right? So keep it open-ended.
I think that keeping with the like a time frame is good, because that way you can then say, well, we like if we're selling marketing via Autonomy Unlimited in this questionnaire, right? The question is, how confident are you in marketing this month? The answer at the end of the quiz will be, can we bring you more customers this month? Can we increase your confidence? Working with us will increase your confidence this month, and we'll get you more customers this month. You know what I mean? So this month is seeding for the future this month, where we will be solving their issues.
Yeah, assuming they are investing in marketing, then yeah, then it is relevant.
But if they're not, how embarrassing.
Some people don't believe in marketing.
Then they're not our customers, and it doesn't matter. They would never take this quiz. Irrelevant.
Yeah, there's a question on here too. What did you spend last year on online marketing or business consulting?
Well, and you did mention early on, Stephanie, this is also like a qualifier, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But this last question you showed, Stephanie, I would change it to something like, how has your online marketing benefited your business in the last year? Like, don't say, did you have it? Just presume they have it. How has it served you? And then if they don't have it, then it's embarrassing again. And a foregone conclusion to higher autonomy unlimited.
I also think with this slide, items B and E are essentially the same thing. To just streamline it, you could maybe just keep one of them.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Something about C is not sitting with me. And like, we might.
It's not confident. See, okay, so here's what I learned from coaching. This is very interesting.
Oh,
The
sorry. What's the
people-
question at hand right now, Kara?
We are looking at what's on the screen and
Yes.
offering feedback, and we're talking about C. And we're talking about the overall, just what's on the screen.
My overall
I
would
would
be,
say-
can there be less white and more black?
Talking about just talking about design.
Yes.
No, I mean, I especially for this purpose, like we want something brighter.
Okay, that's great. Then
I think that
oh, in that case, my comment would be to not have the purple highlighting. Like there can be squares around the A, B, C, D, E boxes, but not to have the purple highlighting around the whole rectangles.
what color do you think would be better? More
Is
blue?
it possible to make it completely transparent?
I wish.
Yeah. Or white background on like
Well,
purple on white?
purple is about meditation, and blue is
Right.
about trust. So there may
Okay.
be some benefit in making it more blue, but because purple is all about
I've said
thinking.
enough.
It changes the letters and the box. So
Oh, great.
Yeah.
What if you did it blue? Like sky blue?
I think it would blend in with the background. But black, maybe.
No,
What about
because that
the
takes
autonomy? What about autonomy blue? Well, yeah, like autonomy
I don't
blue,
know.
maybe.
Autonomy blue, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the autonomy blues, right? I went to the brand kit to get the colors.
Stephanie, rather than saying I'm pretty sure, is I'm confident maybe more succinct?
Yeah.
I'd say most likely we should get some new business soon.
Or
I think that simpler, better. I'm confident we will, should be enough.
okay, so is that very different from A?
That's what I was kind of wondering. I mean,
Oh,
there's
yeah,
that
good
like
point.
100% positive, and then I mean, because I like the idea of the like, pretty sure, but is there a different way that we can say that?
So the point with C I was trying to make is that they're not really 100% positive it's going to happen this month.
I'm hopeful. What about that? I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
You know, it's that like lukewarm confidence, right? And would not sure. I feel like that is out of place. Like, should it be towards the bottom or at least in the C position, if not the bottom? Yeah, that's better placed.
And should D be more extreme? Like we have nothing. Just say we get rid of not confident.
I think it's good how it is.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Let's keep going.
Hang on. Have you tried to scale your business yet? So there's a lot of these that if you guys feel like we could cut, just let me know. We could just cut this question completely.
I think it might be a little redundant.
I'm not sure if a layperson may know what does it mean to scale a business.
It's definitely industry jargon.
Yeah, so this is something that a little bit of a tangent here with teaching. The whole point of an assessment is to obviously gauge where the student is at. The whole point of this quiz is to gauge where they're at, qualify them for AU. But another good thing about an assessment or quiz or test is to educate and provide an opportunity for growth in the assessment. So maybe this could teach them something like, oh, maybe I should be thinking about scaling up.
That's what I'm wondering too, and I get that. I'm curious because I know there's I'm going to put this on the list of potential questions to cut, because then when we were just talking about the question further on about like how much have you invested in marketing, isn't that asking same thing in different language? Like if they've invested in, you know, growing their business over the last year, wouldn't that translate to they've tried to scale their business?
Yeah,
No?
so maybe we
I
could
don't
bring
think
it-
Agnieszka's shaking
Yeah, I
her
would-
head at me.
I would say scaling has to do with process. And if they've effectively came up with a process and then been able to teach other people the process, that's scaling.
And it's also to do with repetition, being able to teach others to repeat your business model to give you dividends. And that does not mean successful business operations. It means being able to operate through affiliates.
or like diversifying your offerings or some other way to just go big.
Mhm. Cool.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'll keep it for now.
I wonder if you could give more of a definition of scaling your business in the first part,
Like in the
like,
description here.
or maybe just in a question, but just like talk about scaling, you know, scaling your business is important. Do you know what that means, or something like that? Or something like, you know what I mean? I don't know. That's just rough, but think about how you could phrase that better.
I was just going to keep chiming in with my little punctuation tidbits. For D, I think just because all the other ones are a comma and then followed by something else, I think visually it might be nice to have that in D as well.
Nice.
We have an
Thank you.
editor in our midst.
Yeah.
I like it. I like
Yeah,
the
that looks
answers
nice.
though. Mhm.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
know I'm a foreigner, but shouldn't say their early days instead of early days, or is it just me?
We're in early days. In the early days. I mean, either way it works, but I do think early days is kind of a phrase that's thrown around.
Mhm.
So should we come back to this if we have time and to move on? Let's find some things
Yeah.
to cut. Let's find some stuff to cut. The mission and vision of my company. We don't have a mission or vision statement, are still under construction. Give people the warm fuzzies, but don't really mean anything. Are near and dear to my heart, but may not be driving us towards success. Are both in alignment with our values and will keep our company on track for growth. This is a lot to read.
Mhm. Yeah. Wondering if this is a necessary question for this purpose.
Yeah.
The D thing, I think D needs to be eliminated.
I do like this question though. I think
Yeah.
it's important because vision is definitely something that I've seen a lot of people fumble on.
Well, and once again, looking at this from the standpoint of somebody taking the quiz, I think they like talking about themselves and their business, and this is an important thing to them probably. If it's like their baby, you know, they'd be proud to answer this question, perhaps.
But it could also be a story though. There could be a story to their business. It may not be a vision. It could
Oh,
be a story. So I don't know if that fits in there somewhere, but that's
so maybe
possible.
something about story or background, what like the creation story of it. What am I thinking of?
Can you tell a story? Or is there a
Problem
story?
with the problem with the creation story is makes you look backwards, not forwards. It does not lead you towards success. It only makes you, you know.
The purpose behind my company, the foundation of it, the
Well,
The
why.
purpose or
I
the
give-
difference you want to make in the world.
I'll give you a good example. You know, our grandfather started this pizza business, you know, and, you know, he was in the World War or something like that, you know. Those
Yeah.
kind of stories are, you know, they tell a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, story. Yeah. Okay. Well,
And I would still put this on the potential list of cutting questions. And it's not, and this is where I want to clarify, mission and vision, very, very important. I'm not saying that. I'm wondering if this particular question is overall serving the purpose of this quiz.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I don't have a clear answer on that right now. And this is where
probably doesn't. It probably doesn't. I just think it might be a fun one for them.
Sure.
Unless we offer working with them on their mission and vision, in which case it would serve the purpose, saying, do you need help with developing a guiding post to your future or something like that?
And it could be a, even if we don't help them develop it, it could be like a good icebreaker at a what's it called? Discovery call. Like, oh, you answered that you are really proud of your mission and vision. Tell us about that. I don't know.
I think also like even on the slide we're on right now, a lot of the questions have started with the most like positive and confident items at the top and worked towards like the less certain. And for slide number 5, it's kind of the opposite way around.
Oh yeah, that was something that Van mentioned earlier on a earlier question.
Very good comments, Kyla.
Oh, thank you.
Cool. Okay. So this is probably another one we could cut. I just wanted to see if they're like woke or if they're, you know, I don't know.
I think item B kind of doesn't fit in with the rest as much, but I like those questions or answers rather.
I don't like that one either.
See,
Thank you.
and if this questionnaire had like a comment, like a commentary or an email after that referred to each one of these ideas, like, hey, AUTONOMY is unlimited. We can help you with your mission and vision. We can help you create a strong culture that will lead you to the future. We can help you in online offers that actually work with your customer base, and we can help you with all of this and make your company so much more successful. And my other thought was, everybody who has a good answer for the mission and vision is a good candidate for AUTONOMY Unlimited customer. Because if they don't know where they're going, they're probably not a good customer.
I'm sorry, but this image, this graphic of folks around the table high-fiving and stuff, I really don't think that that is a good idea to use that particular graphic or video.
Why?
I think it's just spreading more white dominant culture messaging.
Because they're high-fiving or because they're handshaking?
They've got the coffee in everything and the non-reusable cups, and
oh yeah, those are annoying.
It's got like excellent lighting and people wearing really nice outfits and everything. And I don't know, it just doesn't make me feel good to look at that when I'm trying to answer a quiz about my business. Like, I want to be thinking about my business, not that like quintessential stock photo kind of business.
Yeah, so a lot of these are, you know, ones that you search through. There's lots of choices. Let's look at it together. Search for videos. So a lot of these then take it as like culture instead of business culture. When you put the word culture in, it talks about different like cultures of the world, but that's not what we mean when we talk about business culture.
Well, and
What would happen if you just typed in business?
Yeah, try that. And I would like to not spend a ton of time on this and keep focusing on copy.
Just for what it's worth, my 2 cents, I think it like looks nice and goes with the rest of everything. And yeah, like Stephanie, you can work on the design yourself more, but I think it looks good.
Yeah, it does. It does. Look
What
good.
about that lady with the clipboard up a couple slides higher, up? Yeah, right there. What does that?
Honestly,
Looks like-
either way is fine, I think.
Well, it looks like they're collaborating to different people here. So that could be talking about company culture. You're right. That other picture seemed a little contrived.
Mm-hmm. Kind of dorky. All right. Well, anyway, well, what do we think of the question and answers?
What does inclusiveness mean?
Accepting of all. I mean, open arms. That's how I think about it. Rather than, you know, the opposite is exclusive. So exclusive to, you know, a small group. See, what I wonder though with this,
You
with
think
the
it's
answers
too-
of this question is that people could look at this and say, well, I agree with both A, C, and D. You know,
Right.
so I feel like there's not enough distinction between them to
Mhm.
like if they were able to just select as many as they wanted.
Yeah.
All the above?
Well, we can do multiple choice. I mean,
You can, if you get out of the scroll bar,
oh,
take out of there, multiple selection, and then you can tell it how many how many they can choose. I mean, because they can't pick both like D and E, right?
right. They probably
Like
wouldn't.
that wouldn't make sense. So that's what I
Right.
mean. Like the all of the above wouldn't be applicable, but they can click multiple.
Yeah. Okay.
That's fine.
All right. Anyway.
I feel like you can have excellence and also have lack of focus. I mean, if you're in a process where you're working your way out of a situation where you're not as focused, you can still be excellent. That's just my 2 cents.
Okay.
Look at it again.
Our culture could use some focus. I think what I meant by that is that they need to think more about their culture.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's see. What does a business need most for success? Originally, I only had like 3 or 4 on here. Oh my gosh, I spoke.
So wouldn't there be like an all of the above with this one too? Or is that,
Yeah,
it's need most for success, I guess, but
yeah, but I did have multiple selection.
got it. Okay. Is this another just kind of like one of those like qualifiers to see what's most important to them?
Yeah. Just kind of see how savvy they are.
How about valuable products or services?
A quality offer.
Ah, okay.
I'm leaning towards possibly cutting this one, but I'm
Yeah,
not
me
sure.
too.
Yeah. So
Let's just do it. What does a business need most for success? Wait, what? Oh. There we go. And then what did you spend last year on online marketing or business consulting? Should we just say marketing?
yeah.
I wonder if we could rephrase this a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if it's not about how much they spent, but how effective it was? What if they spent $1 million but got shit all for it?
Well,
Like,
that's why it says too much for how low the ROI was. Like it's not about the actual amount. So I guess the question isn't phrased right. You're right.
I'm just wondering if we would say something like, how successful were your marketing efforts? Did
Or
you
effective.
know, or yeah, something like that.
So all the answers would have to be rephrased because it's kind of like, how did what you did spend perform? Your marketing budget, how did that perform for you? Basically is the question.
I think it could be helpful also to spell out like what ROI is. Like I know my parents are business owners and I'm sure they hear return on investments all the time, but if they saw that, they might be like, oh, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Did I not capitalize it then?
Yeah, I wouldn't bother.
What did you spend last year?
Yeah, because if we do change it to like how effective was your marketing last year, you will have to reframe all the questions or all the answers.
We could make it more of like a tell us about your marketing budget and how that performed. Or so, you know, instead
Tell
of
us about the success of your marketing spend. I don't know, the effectiveness of your marketing budget. I don't know. It still will have to edit if we change it.
Mm-hmm.
right.
Stephanie, did you have like a time frame in which you were aiming for them to complete the quiz in?
Well, no, but I think once we shorten it, then it tells you how long it takes.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it'd be nice if it took 10 minutes or less.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I need to come back to this one.
Yeah.
It should be why, not what, right?
Why did you spend?
What did you spend your last year in marketing on? Rather than on.
Mm.
Either what did you spend last year's marketing on focusing on? Or why did you.
What did
Yeah,
you
there we go.
spend your marketing budget on? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And that's like kind of changes the whole question.
Yeah.
And
No, that's not. What was it? What did it say before? I missed it.
It said, what did you spend last year on marketing?
What does that mean?
How much money
How
did they
much?
spend on their marketing?
What amount did you spend last year on marketing?
How much money? Yeah.
Okay, great.
What did you spend? What amount? Well, what I don't want to ask them an amount.
Amount sounds more
Yeah.
specific.
Yeah, that's not what we're going for.
I want to ask them the amount that you did spend, how did it perform?
Mm-hmm.
Like, was it a lot for you? Like for your company?
Of what you spent on marketing last year, how did it perform?
Yeah, which
based off
speaks
of
to
your-
success or effectiveness.
How much of your budget was spent on marketing and how did it perform?
Mm-hmm.
I like Agnieszka's feedback, but also I would go to the next question and come back.
Yeah, well, it's a matter of it's like, all right, if you frame it like this, then the answers are still relevant. Where if you change up the question to being more about, just like, yeah, just how did your marketing perform, then you would need to reframe the questions. So this fits.
Okay, let's move on.
Yay, good job.
I think if I were to hire out for our consulting or digital marketing needs, this could make me look like I don't know what I'm doing. Waste my time and money, expose me to new ideas and methods, turbocharge the success of my business, really help us get off the ground. I think
Wonder about the. Yeah, I was just wondering about the necessity of this question.
Same.
This question does not make me feel good.
Okay. It's gone.
I like the question, but I also like your guys' perspective. So this is good.
Digital marketing is. it's great.
Right?
Whoops, I was unmuted.
Yeah, I wonder about this one because I mean, I guess are the people taking this quiz going to find marketing to be not valuable? No. Something about this question.
Cut it maybe,
funny.
but leave the, that's a pretty good motivating GIF kind of thing there. Where he's writing form LLC and to create only, what's it say?
Online something.
Oh, I gotcha.
Let's see. Okay.
Well, and it's even like what's still thinking about the answer. Sure, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think there are a lot of businesses that are kind of old school businesses that are coming back into light these days, like trades and stuff. I was just on a call earlier today and they were, like they can't find good people. They're out there, but they don't advertise, they're those kind of people that just like word of mouth people, but they could go to a whole new level if they marketed themselves. And so that those businesses are out there. But I don't know, would they be taking this quiz? I don't know.
Yeah, how do they get a hold of this quiz, Stephanie?
They're just going to come across it on Public Square.
Well, to me, this is an asset though that we can have for a person like myself. If I run into somebody and say, "Hey, take this quiz," I think it'd be helpful for you. That could be useful.
I was also thinking to adapt it. I saved an extra copy of it because it could be used as like an client intake with some adjustments.
Just for item B there, again, just to keep it consistent. I know in other places you just had the 1-.
Oh, I did?
No, something about this question is just not sitting with me.
Yeah, I don't want to put ideas in their heads that they don't need digital marketing. And some of these answers, they might be like,
Well, and then I mean, I think too, it's like, I mean, all right, so even like with the first answer, digital marketing is not my strong suit. Well, yeah, probably not, or they wouldn't be taking this quiz. And
that should probably be the last one. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, yes.
It kind of goes with this too, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Some consistency.
It's redundant.
Gotta be careful not to oversell because then we're gonna lose our trust, right? Like if we're all that pompous about it.
Yeah.
So it's like the whole quiz is like guiding them with this kind of question, right? So I'm just wondering if the question is really necessary.
All right,
I was thinking if they.
Jerry?
What were you thinking, Jerry?
You got sucked up in vacuum cleaner.
Potential cut, short answer.
Delegation. How do they feel about delegation? But we don't need this one either.
Yeah.
Now, this is one that Richard suggested, not in these exact words, but when I brought up that I was doing a quiz, he said, yeah, you could find out, if they're the type of business owner that takes responsibility or if they blame all their problems on the world.
I think that the question itself could use a little bit more clarification, but I do like the idea of the question. Like when sales are low or something, like just being more clear focused about business rather than just when we've hit a rough patch or a slow period. Rough patch could be subjective, and they can, I don't know, I hear to see that being even like thought of as like a personal sense, like I hit a rough patch. But so when the business is, you know, yeah, something about low sales or something, or even just when the business has hit a rough patch and slow period.
And I think this might be another question where the multiple selection could be useful.
Mm-hmm. Say when my business. Or your business. Would it be my or your? What have we been doing with previous? Maybe it'd be your.
We did your and then mine. It's switching back around.
Let's get consistency.
We did your before.
Yeah.
We should switch them all to your.
Mm-hmm.
So then would this say our or your?
Your. Yeah, it would need to switch.
I think answer should say our.
Yeah, the answers are talking about their business. So it's possible that, yeah, you'd want to keep it our, but.
Because this wouldn't make sense. You don't have a mission or vision statement. That just sounds weird.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like with the colon, maybe that allows for that change in point of view.
Mm-hmm. You're like finishing the sentence.
Yeah. Okay, so your. And then there's the colon again.
Can you go back to the last question, Stephanie, please?
This one? Or the one before this?
The one before that.
This one?
I'm just trying to think if we can frame that to a question.
Digital marketing. Huh, what is it good for?
I do want to be conscious of our time and know that we do also have Cody's email to get to. So let's see if we can wrap up in the next 10 minutes. Biggest obstacle you're facing. Is this one of the only, so how many like open-ended questions do you have? Because I want to limit those.
4. Well, these two, I mean, this is like optional if they wanted to say anything else, and this is just their name. So there's basically 2. There's 2.
Okay. So I like the what's the biggest obstacle you're facing. What's the next one? How bad do you want this business to succeed? And is this a necessary question? I mean, they want their business to succeed, right?
Yeah. I just wanted them to think about like the opportunity cost and like their why. And tell us about it.
So this is more like a qualifying question, like, are they going to be a good customer rather than something for them? Right?
I was thinking it would give us data for once we do talk to them.
Yeah, and if their answer is no good, we wouldn't talk to them, right? Right? If they were like not qualified.
Yeah, I have some problems with that question because it does sound strange. Because
maybe like tell us about your why.
Well, even like the what's on the line if it doesn't. Oh, I'm not going to be able to feed my family and I'm going to lose my house. And, you know, I need this business to succeed so I can just have my well-being. That's just, I anticipate answers like that.
Yeah, I can see some sarcasm, some potential sarcasm, and I don't know if we want to put them in that place.
Yeah.
I was thinking some people might
That's
be like, oh,
self-pity.
it's just a side hustle. I would lose my lattes. But that's not going to be many people. So my goal with this question is to get them to tell us why, like what drives them. Why
Why
do
ask
they,
that? What
Yeah.
drives you? What motivates you? What's your
I feel
biggest
like-
motivator for your business to succeed?
I like how positive that sounds compared to just the word bad being in there. Like I understand what
Yeah.
you're saying. The word bad is kind of off-putting.
Mhm. And there might be a better way to word that, but you kind of get the idea, right?
yeah.
Mhm.
Free text.
This is question 11, isn't it?
Yeah.
That was. So do we need the 2 dots? Or sorry, I might have missed that.
Dots.
Number 2
No, yeah. I don't know why that was there.
and the
Good eye.
space.
Really quick, let's go back to the obstacle question first. Number 10. So I wonder if this needs a little bit more specificity. Just what's the big obstacle you're facing? I mean,
Is there any specific need identified in their business that
Mhm.
they need help with?
like, what does your business need most right now?
That highlighted bit, isn't that just saying the same thing as the first bit?
Yeah.
Mhm. Can even be what's the biggest obstacle you're currently facing with growing your business?
Do we need this part or delete it?
Oh. Good job cutting the and. I don't know if it's necessary. What do you guys think? It could
don't
add a little extra context. It could also be unnecessary.
I'm just gonna cut
I like it.
it.
I think this is pretty clear cut though, the way the question has been changed now.
All right.
Yeah.
So is this actually, now I'm seeing this question, is this, I mean, another way of asking about the obstacles? Like finding out like what they don't have by letting us know what they do have?
Yeah, so maybe we could cut this and then give this because it gives the specifics and they wouldn't have to think as much.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
I think that's
I wouldn't.
what?
I wouldn't. I
Oh,
wouldn't.
okay.
I
Okay.
wouldn't, and here's why. But I would switch the positions, right?
Uh-huh.
Maybe because in the writing of their own thoughts, it's going to formulate differently than in the clicking the little buttons,
Yeah. You can get their own
right?
difference.
But I would give them this puzzle pieces one first,
Uh-huh.
so they can think about it. And then what's the biggest obstacle? Again, this is the checklist. And whatever they check off on there is what they need help with, right? Or what they don't need help with.
It's a
Either
really
way,
long
it's
list.
giving us, but it's also showing them everything they've missed.
Yeah, it's great.
It is really long. And then the reason it's so long is that I was thinking of people in different business stages. If they're just beginning, they're not going to have media coverage yet, but they're going to have maybe connections or ideas for how to get some coverage, for example.
Yeah, I think that'll give them a lot of things to think about. And then also just at the top there, I was thinking that instead of saying like click on the bubble to the right or whatever, you could maybe just say like select each of the elements you feel are solidly in place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's how it's done. She took out like 7 words with 1.
Love it.
And so we want this one to go in place of, like, to be number 10, and then the obstacle one to be 11, right?
I think it was to trade places with this, which I already switched with
I thought it
12.
was the other. I thought we wanted the puzzle pieces and then find out what the
Above
biggest
the
obstacle.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So do we want this up here?
Yeah, it gives a nice, like, it's more positive, so it's getting them thinking about, like, oh yes, these like positive motivations, and then then they can go into like what's maybe missing.
Yeah, okay. We can probably cut this one.
Yeah. Right now. The answer is always right now.
All right.
Nice.
Got a lot to think about. And
you cut that down pretty good too.
yeah, it's basically 10, 11. It's basically 10 questions because these are kind of the same question, or these are kind of the same question, 11 and 12. And these are just like extra if they want and give us their name.
I like the last 3 questions or last 4 questions. I think they're in good order and they're giving us all the stuff we need to know for us.
Yeah, and then there's also a couple that we said were potential cuts. So thanks, guys.
Shaw. Thanks for bringing it for us to play around with.
Really appreciate the feedback.
Good
I've
luck,
had this on
Stephanie.
my plate for a while and I just want it to be good. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Good effort. Well
Really
done.
nicely done, everyone.
All right, Cody.
How is it going?
Good. So how do you want to do this? Do you want to share on your side, or you want to get me a Word document that I can share on my side? What's better for you?
I can get you a Word document.
Okay.
How do I send this? Or well, a TXT document. Just because it's generally what I type in. Send it through Discord, I guess.
Sure.
And there is text message, and I don't have my opening kind of not sure what to do is what kind of opener or closer do I need, like, have a close, because it's not an email so much as a message I'm going to send to him in Discord, because I have his private Discord, but not his email, and we've chatted there kind of casually plenty, so kind of not entirely sure how to go about it. And also it makes me laugh. I already talked to Nick and sent him that and already got some feedback that makes me know that, yeah, there's some work to be done on this. What I wrote was basically a first draft. But
Okay, and then give me one more time the context of this, so that since we've just been doing a whole bunch of other stuff.
And another problem with TXT documents is no grammar spelling check. Okay, context. So JMA is kind of like his online name, and the idea is I want to start doing video editing for him behind the scenes on his channel to kind of get a foot in the door of networking for for the community for the series that I've written, the fan fiction project for, because once I have it ready, I want to be able to get the word out. And one good way to do that is make content. And well, the idea that my mastermind came up with is, kind of approach him as, hey, I have interview skills because of autonomy.
Mhm. Okay. Well, first thing at a glance is too much content.
Yeah.
Especially for an email, especially, is this like first touch? Like this is first contact with this?
I have his private Discord and we've chatted some.
Okay.
Actually, if he takes out all the sentences that are about him, it'll be perfect amount of content.
Say that again, Agnieszka.
I said that if you take out all the sentences that are about you and only talk about the other person and forget yourself, like take all the sentences out that talk about you, what you've done, what you think, all that bullshit, and only talk about the other person, you're going to have the right amount of content. Because I see your thinking. So I'm going to tell you why. Because the other person does not give a shit about you.
Yeah.
They only care about themselves. Right? So anything that's relevant to you, anything that's important to you, anything that you've accomplished or if you've achieved or you are proud of, it's completely irrelevant to the other person. But if you talk about shit that they're proud of, that they've achieved, that they've done, and take this to be about them, not about you, it's going to be fixed.
Is that even the case with the part of the community Autonomy Limited with the course that focuses on how to interview someone, you know, his credibility of, you know, this is something that I can do?
Yes, but even when you're talking about how you can serve them, talk about how you can serve them, not about how it has served you. Right? So take the autonomy sentences and say, you know what would really be useful to you is this autonomy course I took because or some way, and that may be too aggressive for the first contact either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would just say, hey, I learned some new skills that I can share with you and check out these ideas and give me 15 minutes and I'll tell you this crazy shit. And this is very wordy. So think about, like, you know, that I and Kara were wordy people. We like wordiness. And if we would probably read all that shit. But like we're the exception. There's like 10 or 20% of the humans who would be into that kind of reading, that kind of text, right? So take it to like Ronald McDonald level.
Yeah, and I do also, you know, the chats that we've all had have all been fairly long messages. You know, especially with my comments that I've left in his videos, they can get pretty long, and he's read them all, and he said that he's liked them all. You know, so it doesn't need to be, you know, super short, but yeah, you know, as soon as I took it out of the TXT document and threw it to Nick in Discord, where I had to break it into 2 parts just to be able to send it through Discord, I went, oh, this is too long.
So take out every time you say also and if, take out every time you say I or we, and the rest of it should be good.
Take out every I, we, also, and if, was that?
Yeah, and if, take out all the ifs, take out all the ends, take out all the alsos, take out all the I's and the we's. No, you can leave the first we. The first we is okay. But skip the we's.
You
can
we've...
keep a me. You can use me, like you have chatted with me. You can use a me, but don't use an I or a we.
Okay.
Why don't we use the we?
Like he could use we, but in a we, it's not really about the other guy. It's about you and him. And it's almost like you're grabbing him, you're bringing him too close to you, and you look, you're gonna do this, right? Versus if you're like, hey, you would benefit from this because you have this issue with this, and this is the solution, and let me tell you about it, or something like that. Then you're actually taking him and you're inviting him over here. You're like, hey, I noticed you know, hey, Kara, I noticed that you always have a run in your stocking, and I found these really cool stockings at Costco that have like, they never run, and they're super cheap, you know? I'll get you connected with these stockings, and then you will have no issues, right? And I'm not talking really about me, even though I said I found, right? So I used that one, but I'm all talking about her problem with her stockings. And I'm not talking about like, hey, I used to have this problem with my stockings and they used to always run, and look, here's an example. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just talking about her issue with her stockings. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
With this particular email, what is the ultimate goal? Like, what do they want them to do after reading this email?
So the ultimate goal with this email is to essentially get a, would it be a first meeting or a second meeting? You know, kind of a, you know, here's a raw idea. What do what are your thoughts on it? You know, do you want me to, go out and think on it some more, get some more, get some more ideas?
So essentially, yeah, have a brainstorm meeting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. The goal is to have a brainstorm meeting.
Mm-hmm. So this is where like I think you can definitely like cut a lot of content, and because like you're just, but the goal is just trying to get that conversation scheduled. So if you can like show enough value about what you what they need, and you see that they need this thing, and you can, it's like finding a way to invoke some curiosity and have them see the value without over complicating and overselling, over explaining. Because it's on that call that's where like you're really going to be able to make some magic happen. Stephanie has put a suggestion in the chat. Maybe start with, thanks for offering to talk about ideas for future videos. And then you can get right to the idea that you have, an informal interview rather than a Q&A. Then suggest you schedule a conversation to brainstorm further. Boom! That's all you need.
Say that again, Kara.
It's in the chat. Stephanie said you could maybe start with, thanks for offering to talk about ideas for future videos. And then you can just get right to the idea that you have, an informal interview rather than a Q&A, and then suggest that to schedule a conversation to brainstorm further.
Yeah, I'll probably need to go back and look at exactly what he said, but my memory on what he said is that when I come up with new ideas, when JMA comes up with new ideas for videos, he'll kind of like shoot me a message on, hey, what do you think of this topic, just to kind of like spin up some ideas for his idea, and less so a, what ideas for videos do you have, which kind of a pretty small divide between that, but
Okay, so what I was thinking is it would be good to start with a thank you for whatever it is.
yeah, thank you for,
Or I've enjoyed, yeah, whatever that interaction is. Just tell them how awesome they are.
Yeah, and that'll actually ring really home for him, since 3 of his 15 or so videos are, essentially a thank you to the viewers, which is awesome.
What are we looking at here? An email draft?
Pretty much. An email draft that went overboard
From who to
really
who?
quickly. From me to a YouTuber that makes content for the series I've written a fanfiction.
Did we succeed in kind of wrapping up towards the conclusion of this meeting, or can everyone hear me?
Yeah,
we can hear you. We're still working, we're still looking and discussing Cody's email.
Okay.
Nobody has to stay the
Thanks,
full
Cody.
2 hours. If anybody needs to take off, you're always at choice.
No masters, no slaves.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even if you have like some ideas here of like, all right, video editing skills, these things that you think you can contribute, think about how to simplify that into like a quick bulleted list, like a little snapshot of what you can offer to give them an idea that then you'll explore further when you get in a conversation.
What if we Hemingway this stuff?
Hemingway.
Go do it, Carrot, do it.
There's an app for that, Cody.
Hemingway.
Hemingway app.
Is that for spelling and grammar and whatnot?
It's for readability.
Oh, huh.
Mhm.
I'll
Oh,
probably
look at all
want
that
to
red.
have. Ah, that's great. What is the blue?
Blue are adverbs. Just aim for 2 or fewer.
For 2 or fewer for what? For the length of the document I gave?
Yeah, the whole thing. So it's like this in conjunction with Grammarly will fix most of the issues with your stuff, or will really take you down the path. But you don't have to use it for a long time. Once you use it like 5 or 20 times, something like that, it just starts coming to your brain on its own.
And so like basically the idea of this, you know, is trying to make things just easier for someone to read. And so like breaking up long run-on sentences and overly complicated sentences, and just especially for something like email. I mean, this is a really useful tool for all areas of copywriting. But especially something like email, where like, you know, people in their inboxes you need to get to the point fast. People are skimming, people are busy, just trying to like clear their inboxes. And so having it as easy for them to digest as possible. So you can see, and so this isn't going to like make all the corrections for you on this tool, but we can see that like, all right, if I just break that up into multiple sentences, and then suddenly it's just a little bit easier to take in.
This is really cool.
Yeah, I'm definitely making use of this for the fiction writing.
I'll throw it in the chat for everybody.
You know that and also with Grammarly, like should I just get Grammarly?
Yes.
You know, just to be able to chuck that in there and not worry about the syntax.
There is Grammarly in there. If you see all the red underlined words, those are being analyzed by Grammarly right there. And then
Hemingway has
red
Grammarly
highlight
inside it as well.
It's in her browser, so it's working together with Hemingway.
Huh.
Yeah, there's an extension in the browser that you can get for it. And it's not the end all tool, but it is really it's nice and handy to have.
Yeah, it's nice and handy to have something that just drops something in real quick. And I'm almost thinking, is that worth $20 to just buy it right now? You know, because I'm a little fussy with uploading my writing to the internet, where God knows where it'll end up getting sucked in.
But this is just like a little JavaScript app. Like it doesn't really go anywhere. It's you just paste it in this thing, and then if you reload, it goes back to the original text. It doesn't keep it or copy it or nothing. It's just like a really small online app.
Yeah.
Well, more so that's a I don't know what it does behind the scenes. It could be more than just a JavaScript, which I don't know. I'm just being fussy that way. Am I being overly fussy in that way? You know, especially with me not wanting to, post stuff, post the chapter on Discord.
I think it's your call, your individual thing. I personally don't believe in copyright, so I will put everything that I write always for everybody to use however they want, and I don't give a fuck. And if they steal it, they can steal it. I'm cool with it. But people with different priorities and you know what I mean?
Right.
Like for me, I'm the creator. I have the unlimited creative potential. If people want to steal from me, they're never going to achieve my level because they're the kind of people that steal. So it doesn't matter if they want to steal from me. It's irrelevant. That's how I feel.
It's actually a good way of putting it.
By the way, that guy that stopped working with me and wanted to take that business that I built in the summer, I tried to charge him $2,000. I said, you know what? Give me another $2,000 and I'll give you the logo and I'll give you all the rights and everything and you can keep it. And he's like, you know what? No, I'm going to rewrite it. So now he's redoing all the logo and everything that I did. It's going to cost him $2,000 anyway. But that means that the page that I started on Facebook, I can continue working with and building on. Well, not Facebook, LinkedIn. Anyway, it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
I asked Danny Lilly to collaborate with me.
Yeah, so you can see a lot of it is just kind of like breaking up sentences and just making it easier to read. I mean, then after putting something through something like Hemingway, you would want to go back to a really thorough proofread. And you know, in proofreading, especially something like an email, read absolutely every word out loud. Read it out loud to yourself and just see how it sounds. And you know, especially with like email, I mean, I think of email as being a lot more conversational tone than something like a web page or landing page or something. And so it really helps with email to read all the words out loud, to just see how they sound, and then you can continue to make more edits.
Cara, if emails are conversational and websites are different, how are they different, like the tone?
Sure. I mean, this is I mean, ultimately, you'll hear us say this again and again, is that it comes back down to who you're talking to and who your target audience is, as far as what kind of tone of voice that you're using. But generally speaking, emails are a place for a more conversational tone, breaking things up. Like I wouldn't want to have, you know, it might be different with when you're writing an email to someone like a writer, you know, an author or something like that. But in general, like you want to be breaking up these paragraphs, giving nice white space in between these things. I mean, sometimes it's like one sentence at a time. And then, you know, you can do things like bolding important lines, like boom, like with that in mind, what if we, and boom, present my idea? What if we made the Q&A as a semi-formal interview? You know, all this can do a little bit more rewriting, but to just kind of give you an idea. Whereas, you know, websites and landing pages, again, depends on who you're speaking to, but that's when you're getting a little bit more clear cut, maybe a little bit more formal language, a lot more, I don't want to say more strategic, just differently strategic in how you would speak on a web page as opposed to something like an email. Or also like advertisements, like doing something like a Facebook ad or, you know, social media ad. Same thing there, conversational tone. Trying to speak like a human. I mean, we don't want to come off as bots, right? Like we want it to be clear that like this is a real human that's writing these words and speaking to you right now. People may be a lot more receptive to wanting to engage if they think it's coming from a real person. So, I mean, in a nutshell, that's kind of like the umbrella answer that I would give to that question. Agnieszka, would you have any more you would want to add?
Okay, so first of all, an email is supposed to be 120 words, ideally. And this one is 353. So there's that. But so what I would do with this email, like once you go through Hemingway and fix some of the sentences, have you ever done a value sort? So what a value sort is where you take, you have like 200 value words and then you circle the ones that speak to you. And then from the circled ones, you like eliminate all the ones that mean the same thing until you have like 10 and then 5 left. And those are your key values, right? So with this email, we can do the same thing where we remove all the sentences that mean the same as the sentence next to them. And we go through it 2 or 3 times, removing 50% each time. Yeah. We'll end up with about 120 words.
Absolutely. Like the editing phase is so crucial when doing something like this. And I mean, I know even like I took courses with copy hackers, and Joanna Weave always talks about the importance of like in the editing phase of literally reading each and every word and sentence out loud and pausing, like you read a sentence and determine like, is this necessary for this email? And is this clear? Is this clear? Is it valid? Does it actually have a place in this copy? And like using discernment for each and every sentence that you write. And like Agnieszka said, like you'll end up cutting 50% of your stuff almost every time. And that's good. You know, clarity is key. And like anybody that's been in these clinics with me for a while will hear me say the mantra, clarity over cleverness. clarity is more important than cleverness. If you can achieve both, awesome. That's great. If you can be clear and clever at the same time, that's awesome. But you don't want somebody, like, kind of a rule of thumb, you never want somebody to have to read a sentence twice to understand what you're saying. That's kind of a goal. And that's where, like, when I'm editing something or editing another copywriter's work, like, if I have to read a sentence more than one time to understand what you're getting at, that tells me that this needs to be reworked. There needs to be some editing done for clarity in there. So the editing process is a really important step in copywriting.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I wonder how much, what are you thinking over there, Cody? What's going on in your brain?
Oh, I got a little distracted. I just went and took the writing, which I consider to be my most polished writing, and chucked it into the Hemingway, and it makes me laugh. It says 66 if you're adverbs, and I had 166. But it only said that 14 of the 603 sentences were red and only 30 were yellow, which that's not bad. I have only 5%.
I'll ask really quick though, the piece of writing that you're putting in, is this for your book or is this something else?
Yeah, it's for my book, although technically it's the prologue for the second book, which whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, for the book.
And so I would say, like, some distinction, whereas, like, copywriting rules and writing a novel rules are very different.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where, like, with like the readability thing, like looking over here where it's got like the grade and, okay, aim for 9 or less, but this is in copywriting. In copywriting, you want that readability to be low so that, like, anybody reading your stuff, like, there's no questions, there's no confusion, they know exactly what you're communicating to them. Whereas, writing a novel and writing fiction, there's so much more flexibility and leeway, and, like, that's where you're bringing in your creative writing style into the process. And so, hell, run-on sentences galore. Like, and if I took a novel off my bookshelf right now and put it into Hemingway app, it would probably be all red. It would look ridiculous. That's the difference between writing a novel and, and creative writing as opposed to copywriting. Very different things.
Very fair.
Yeah. So it's like
I don't know, it just kind of brings up the idea of my mind of, like, how do you even start going about, polishing it, because, what I chucked into the Hemingway is what I consider, my most polished writing. It's the thing that this is like the 4th draft now. I'm sending it to my friend who worked as a semi-professional editor.
Mm-hmm.
For a while. I was, hey, can you help me out with this chapter? Just get this thing way up to scruff so I can post it tomorrow and have it be just, here's what I can do.
Mm-hmm. Great. And I would, for something like that kind of writing, I would lean more on an editor than I would on Hemingway app.
Yeah, like the Hemingway app is a tool with a very specific purpose, as a kind of like an initial pass through of, hey, what did I totally screw up?
Or if you were trying to get your book or your piece of writing down to, like, an elementary grade level, like, sure, this would be really great tool for something like that. So it's just determining the purpose of what you're writing.
Determining the purpose of the tool. A hammer is for hitting a nail. It's not for doing surgery. Like,
you're not writing your novel for, a 6-year-old or, a kindergartner. So yeah, or someone who can't even read yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I fumbled that one a little bit, but you guys get what I'm saying. Well, I'm wondering, do we want to keep, we're down to our last little over 10 minutes. We could keep playing around with this. Or we can do some little bit of debrief and call it a day.
Yeah, sounds good.
What are some final thoughts coming up from you guys? That many.
That I need to do your course, finish your course.
Awesome.
Yeah, I want to do that as well. And I'd like to get into editing, but I'm not sure how to do that, but it's something I want to look into.
Mm-hmm. there's some great, like I've taken some online editing courses and gotten some certification. And then, so as far as getting the training and practice and tools to become an editor, I think is pretty accessible. And then it's, figuring out where to get work. And you know what though, is self-publishing is so big right now. Like there is such a market for freelance editors. There really is. So.
Okay, that's good to know. Thanks.
Kayla, how familiar are you with different style guides? Like there's the AP style guide and like different publications will have their own styles.
Familiar to a point, like as far as the, like all the differences between them, like I haven't leaned on a professional style guide in quite some time, but that's mostly because the work that I do hasn't really required it as much. Where so much, copywriting oftentimes is not following all the typical grammar rules. Oftentimes we're breaking lots of grammar rules. And, part of that is strategic, and it tells people that, again, this is a real person. This is not a bot or something, or some rigid whatever that's putting out this content. This is a real human being. So it's, breaking grammar rules. This is actually why, I have Grammarly. I had to disable it on a lot of my other things, like even like Google Docs and stuff like that. I disabled Grammarly because it was actually hindering my process. And so I'll turn it on selectively. So so as far as style guides, I will say though, like recently, so since Chelsea, are you here still? Did she have to take off? I think she had to take off. Chelsea has been helping us create editorial style guides for some of our clients and, even for ourselves. And she kind of brought like style guides back up on my radar recently, was asking me like my preference. And I was like, I don't really have a preference because, to be honest, I haven't leaned on them in quite some time.
Yeah.
No, it's not to say there's not value to them. I just haven't had the need.
That's where I learned a lot of the, the rules is the AP style guide when I was writing for the newspaper. And so maybe that would be a good place to start for somebody like Kayla, would be to look at just the different style guides that are most commonly used, like MLA and whatnot. So.
Yeah. And I did my editing certification through, was it ACES? Like the American Copy Editors Society or something like that, which was an online thing. It was a really nice program. I enjoyed the program. I didn't do much with it, but I had aspirations of, I've done a little bit of book editing. Like we have a romance author client and I've edited 2 of her books, and I really enjoy, the process of editing. I don't know if it's something that I'm going to continue pursuing, but it is something that I've found a lot of joy in. And so that's where I, was interested in just strengthening my tool belt and did some online training. Yeah. And Kayla, you've definitely got the eye for it. So I think with just building a little bit more tools, like you've already got a really natural knack for it. So I encourage you to do it.
Thank you. Yeah, I've always been that big dork for stuff like that. So thanks for the encouragement.
It's good. It's good. And even like, this is where I've like even Chelsea coming on the team recently, and she's been doing so much proofreading for me. It's a really valuable piece where like even me, like I get really fast and moving, with copywriting jobs, and I need to lean on somebody else. Like I think we all need editors, all of us. Like no matter how good of copywriters we are, or writers that we are, we all need a second eye on what we're looking on, because we're always missing stuff. I'm always missing stuff. I need proofreaders in my life.
I think that maybe like the style guides are a nice thing to know about, but personally, I don't know anything about them. And I've been a writer for like a really long time, Anyway, I think that maybe looking at different tones for different audiences would be more useful, because then you can you can edit with knowledge. Like, for example, if the piece is written for like baby boomers, there's a different tone, right? We take than if it's written for 20-year-olds or for 16-year-olds or for 40-year-olds, right? And knowing that, understanding that, it would be probably more valuable in the long run than understanding the correct guides. Because as I said, marketing is what's needed. And in marketing, all the rules are broken.
Yeah, I like that you brought that up, because my goal in bringing up style guides is to like think of ways that she could immerse herself in like the lingo and the, what is out there, like the different tone and voice and what's an Oxford comma?
Totally.
Yeah, I would
And
say
then,
it's nice to have.
yeah, and it's like, and it depends on what kind of editing work that you're doing too, right? So, if you are like doing more like book work or novel work or writing or editing for like journalism, these kinds of things that require a different set of style knowledge than something like copywriting. So it just depends.
Yeah, that's good stuff to think about. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Any other burning thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, complaints?
I'll ask one after you, Mike.
I was the one that tried to speak up, but I guess I can go first. What courses? Like I guess this might, well, okay, whatever. What courses for fiction writing would you suggest, or like should I look into an editing course, given that I'm about to get started on a second draft?
Good question. I don't know courses for fiction writing off the top of my head. A really amazing book that I can see. Hold on one second. A really awesome book that my husband bought, Characters and Viewpoints, by Orson Scott Card. And this was like, so the subtitle is How to Invent, Construct, and Animate Vivid, Credible Characters and Choose the Best Eyes Through Which to View the Events of Your Short Story or Novel. I have not dug into this yet. Orson Scott Card.
Orson Scott Card.
And he's I can't remember what he's written, but he's a very experienced author.
And just so you know, Kara, it goes to Jerry after and then Aaron before we stop.
Thank you for tracking.
Yeah, books are always, good, because I ran over to the library yesterday and got 2 books, Census Style and The Last Draft, Novel Sketch Revision, and Thinking Person's Guide to Writing, 21st Century, and the Census Style one is interesting, kind of, especially since I don't have any idea what my style as a writer is. I just write,
I'm sending you a snapshot of that book.
Sweet.
Because I haven't dug into it yet, but my husband was like singing its praises, and it's on my list because I got my own fiction projects that I'm going to be working on too.
Sweet.
Cool. All right, Jerry next.
Do you do you burn through courses, or do you kind of like go at your own pace?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Say more.
So like how do you just take on courses, and like as soon as you're done with one, you take on another course? Like you're always learning, constantly learning, or do you kind of like take your time with the course, let it digest, and
For like for learning
rapidly,
copywriting?
Yes.
Or just in general?
Copywriting.
I mean, I've slowed down in my personal consumption of new copywriting training recently, just because I'm moving in a little bit different direction. But I definitely was like, I think I was breezing through a lot, and I was going through a lot of lessons. And in hindsight, I would have liked to have slowed down. Because this is like, and I've said this a lot too, is that, we can learn all these things about copywriting, and we can watch videos and read books and take courses all day, but until you start like really putting into practice, it's still just going to remain in this like place of theory, like until you actually really start doing the work and practicing writing copy. So, I mean, I would say that there was a lot of practice opportunities that I might have overlooked, or because I was breezing through and so eager to get to the next lesson and so eager to get this new information, that I didn't take the time to go back at the very least and soak it all in. Because I notice myself, I get really eager sometimes, and I just want to just soak it all in. But if I'm going to do that, I need to go back through and slow it down and like really integrate the material. So that's my immediate answer. Cool. And who's next? Erin?
Yes, hello everyone. For those who have not met me yet, I am the artist formerly known as Erin Reddy. Some of you, I see familiar faces, Jerry, Van, Cody. Some new faces to me are Kayla and is it Agnieszka Evenson? Am I saying that sort of at all right? She's nodding, so okay.
It's Agnieszka Evenson, but yeah, close enough.
It's really nice to meet everyone in this group that I haven't yet, and I think that meeting went really well. I'm sorry for my antics and the loud sounds outside where I'm at. I have to practice my performance somehow, and this is how I do it. So I'm clicking the mute button on and off a lot, and clicking the visual button on and off just to practice doing things in time and hitting the reactions and stuff, just kind of testing out all the functionality. But I did get some good stills from this Zoom meeting from my point of view. So if you guys wouldn't mind, I'm going to stall a bit to do something real quick. So if you'll just bear with me here. Okay. So now we have a before, and then if you could all smile, I'd like to take a photo of all of our faces for future, if you're able to turn on your camera at all at this moment.
What are you using it for?
I'm going to share it with Autonomy for use for looking happy and enjoying the community, you know. So try look yourself, but it's just a photo, you know, a screenshot of the screen that I have. So if you could turn your video on.
I just didn't know if it was going outside of Autonomy.
No, it's not. It's not. Well, it might, you know. I mean, I'm looking as derpy as I am, but just like a typical.
We keep it in the
yeah. Just be yourself, you know. This is good. Olivia's is not on, so that's fine. Okay, let me take one real quick. Okay, it's going to be a 3, 2, 1. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right, that was that.
Great.
And I'll let you guys do. I don't know. I have the microphone in my hand now. I don't remember what I'm doing.
Cool. Well, we are out of time. That is a wrap for today, my friends. I always enjoy these clinics and hanging out with you. I believe the next one is going to be December 9th, I believe. It's always the second Friday of the month, unless otherwise specified. So, yeah. And then by the time next clinic comes around, you guys will all have had like a nice primer of copywriting, I believe. I think that will be that far along. We'll see. We'll see.
Rangers, no bark.
Everyone have a fantastic day. Maybe see you guys at the lecture tonight, and talk to you later.
Thanks, Kara. Thank everybody.
Thanks
Who
again.
has a dog? Who's that barking?
Any idea what the next clinic will be about?
You're looking at it, friend. No,
Like it.
yeah. I don't have a like a specific lesson or anything planned. Now that we're in season, we're going to have more and more people that are going to have stuff for us to review. So I do want to prioritize that as much as possible.
Start taking action. Thank you, Kara.
Bet.
Yep, thanks for all the advice.
For sure. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.